Hebrews 10 and 1 proved that Jesus died for animal sacrifices.
Hebrews 1:10 through 4. Yeah, Hebrews 1:10 through 4. Then read Hebrews 1.
That's what Paul is talking about here.
Paul is saying in Hebrews chapter 10, verses 1 through 4, Jesus died for what?
He's saying in Hebrews 10, Jesus that's explaining why we not or why the Israelites not sacrificing no more. It's going into that right there. That's what he's saying. If I'm correct,
that's the law that Paul was referring to.
Okay, so you're saying that's showing that Paul is referring to animal sacrifices being removed from the Mosaic law.
Yeah, we don't want to call it the Mosaic law. The reason why I don't want to call that.
Well, you know what the Mosaic law
was just a good secretary. That's what. Let's just go ahead and say
only
that. He was just a good secretary.
Mosaic. We're gonna say Mosaic law from Mosaic law. Okay. Okay.
Just saying
go ahead.
That he wrote down everything that the Lord told him to write down and give to the people. How about that? So
who wrote that down? Who wrote Hebrews? Moses?
No, Hebrews. Most scholars say it's written by Paul and others. But what I'm saying here.
So you're saying now how are you comparing Hebrews to Moses?
Because you got to go ahead and put the scriptures here a little and there a little. You can't just go ahead.
Well, wait a minute. You're saying Christ died so that we don't have to do animal sacrifices anymore. Are you saying that Moses taught this too?
Moses taught everything was a foreshadow to what Jesus was doing.
No, I asked about a foreshadow. Did Moses teach this?
I'm gonna give you your answer. Please please allow me to have that.
I mean, it's not that difficult. It's not difficult. If Moses taught this, show me in the Old Testament where Moses taught this.
Moses did teach this.
Show me.
What?
That's an allegation. You got to prove it with scripture. Now prove it with scripture.
What you want me to show you? Ask me the question.
You said Moses taught that Jesus would come one day and die for the animal sacrifices to be removed from the law. Show me in the Old Testament where Moses said that one day a man would come and die so that animal sacrifices would no longer be mandated under the law. That's what I want you to show me in the Old Testament.
You're not going to find it.
Well, you can't allege it then because there's no evidence. There's no evidence because it does not exist.
Let me show you.
So you just admitted. You just admitted to something that don't exist. You're saying that Moses taught. You're saying that Moses. Wait a minute. When I'm talking,
I would like to have a conversation with you.
I'm not going to let you run around and make allegations that you cannot prove.
And you won't give me a chance to go ahead and show you this because
you can't show me. You just admitted that you can't show me. You just showed me. Wait a minute. Hold on. One thing you gotta realize. You can't talk when I'm talking on my stage. No. One thing you gotta realize, fool. You on my stage. I'm not on your stage. That's why I opened this room because we got contentious people like you that can't have a civilized conversation. You made an allegation, and I made you prove your allegation. And you could not prove it, and you also admitted that you could not prove it. But you want to continue on to just spew out nonsense. I want evidence. I don't want a bunch of nonsense. You made the allegation that Moses taught what is stated in Hebrews chapter 10, verses 1 through 4. Now, that's a mere assertion, a mere allegation. That's your own opinion. Now, what you have asserted must be proven with scripture. Did, in fact, Moses teach that one day a man would come and die so that Israel would no longer be required to perform animal sacrifices as you stated in Hebrews chapter 10, verses 1 through 4? You got to prove that. You the one made the allegation that Moses taught what is stated in Hebrews chapter 10, verses 1 through 4. And when I put your behind to the fire, you had to admit that you were lying. That evidence is not stated in the Old Testament, that Moses did not teach that. So now what do you want me to do? You want me to act like you didn't lie? No, we're not going to play political correctness. We're not going to let you come up here and make statements that are profoundly in error. That's why people are misled today, because you antichrists and apostates are not sufficiently challenged to show and reveal that your doctrines of men are merely doctrines of men and cannot be proven in the scripture. Now, if you want to come back up, now you know the rules. Now you know the strict adherence that is required on this stage. The strict adherence that is required is that you must prove your personal opinions with scripture. You're not going to be allowed to make allegations and just run through scriptures that are irrelevant and are not evidence and bear no relationship to proving what you're saying. I'm going to invite you back and give you another chance to redeem yourself.
I would correct my language, and I will go ahead and prove my point at the same time.
Okay, right. Tell me what you're proving and give me evidence.
All right. The law is saying the same thing as the testimony.